Hey, you. Thanks for tapping into another episode of an Untapped Keg podcast where we explore different perspectives of sobriety and mental health so that you can take something, implement it into your own life. Where we believe there's only one right way to get sober, and that's the way that works for you. I'm RJ Zimmerman, and today I'm very excited to be joined by my fellow This Naked Mind certified coach and owner of Coaching Sweden, Marcus Widblom. How are you doing today, Marcus?
I'm doing fine, RJ. Thanks. Thanks for the introduction.
It's it's really cool how through this coaching process, you meet people from all over the world and how similar our stories really are. So, could you give us a little bit of background into, who Marcus is and how you came to coaching?
Yeah, definitely. So my name is Marcus. I'm 39 years old now, and I live in Sweden, in Malmö, in the south of Sweden, with my family. I have a wife and two kids. And my journey with alcohol, I guess, started when I was a kid, as for most people, like watching my parents drink at parties, growing up around alcohol, um, and just noticing myself getting. I remember like being pretty curious about it and seeing how it affected people and how they seemed to have so much fun. And as a kid, you just wanna. The only thing you want to do is to grow up, right? So, and sort of like growing up like that, viewing the adults doing, and also like older friends or neighbors, kids as well, like doing the things you wanna do the same thing. Like it's exciting, it's new, it's forbidden. Do anything you can to get like your foot in the door of the adult world, basically. So that was sort of my launch pad, and then I guess when I like, I'm not gonna say started drinking, but my first drink was for real, like my first real drink. I guess I had a sip or something when I was 10, I don't know, but otherwise, like when it started for real, like I think I was around maybe 13, 14-ish. And I was in high school in Sweden. It's called högstadiet, and it was just the excitement of it all, like stealing booze from your parents and mixing these weird, like disgusting mixes. I remember once we mixed it with milk and it was just disgusting, but we drank it anyway, just because like
Oh,
it's the only thing
goodness.
we had. And I remember my best friend, he texted me and said like I stole a whole bottle of glögg from my parents. And glögg is like a, I don't know if you know what it is, but it's like a Christmas drink. So it's like very, very sweet wine. Uh, it tastes like, it's like German Glühwein, but like sweeter. So he
Okay.
stole that and we drank that. I think he threw up on that, and like all over. Went to a bowling alley or something, and he threw up all over the bathroom in there. Anyway, that's like, those are the like kind of experiences that started it all. And I think for me, the main thing was that I felt that when like, apart from the thing being very exciting, like doing forbidden things and sneaking out, all of that, the big rush, like, but apart from that, I think that alcohol allowed me to get over myself, like get over my sense of social anxiety, getting over like, allow like having the guts to talk to people and to just like put my arm around girls and talk to them, or whatever, like not be afraid to go to a party or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's like, that's where it started, and then it just basically kept going like that throughout school, the rest of school, and then university as well. Um, like I remember when I started university, I was like, my focus was, when is, because we have this initiation period. And I bet you guys do too, but
Yep.
in Sweden it's like 2 or 3 weeks. at least when you like studying a longer program
Yep.
of just initiation, and there's a lot of drinking involved. And I remember like that was sort of the main thing that I was looking for, like partying and doing that initiation and just like going all in, staying up all night. And I sort of now, when I look back at it, I realized that uh, I everybody didn't do it like that, but
Right.
for me, it felt like that's the way you do it, right? Some
Yep.
people came there then and they had never had a drink in their life almost, and I was like, well, is this it? Can we do more? Like, can we stay up later? Can't we drink more? And so on. So yeah, and then um, you know, did a bunch of stuff after that. Went to Australia for 6 months with two friends. I think we partied every day basically. Um, and then I sort of into the real adult life with jobs, and I got my first job, and I met my girlfriend who's now my wife, and the drinking sort of changed a little bit, but it changed more towards like social interactions, like dinners and having wine, and like
Yeah.
more upscale, more not as trashy,
Fancier.
fancier.
Yeah.
um so, and that was fine, I guess. And then just like then I have two kids, as I said. And when my first kid came, I was around 30. um Things changed again, but because we moved from that, we lived in Stockholm at that time, like the capital of Sweden, and then we moved to where we live now in Malmö. So we moved sort of away from most of the social life that we had, and we bought a house and we started a family, and so this all new era started. But I was sort of back in my mindset. I was back in the old era where, I wanted to live for myself. I wanted to continue partying, and every time I drank, I wanted to drink more. Um, so like drinking became an excuse, like socializing or inviting people or like meeting new people became an excuse for like drinking. So that's also something that I've noticed now, that I think I socialize just because that would allow me to drink. So it just started escalating from there, and a lot of mornings, waking up with anxiety, feeling that I need to make a change in something. I don't know how or what, but I need to like cut down or do something about this. So I started trying different things, just control myself. I had an app like where you could like register how many drinks you had, and at what times, and then you could see like, and my goal was to not go. First I had a goal of not drinking more than, for example, four, and then I had a goal of like, okay, I can drink as many as I want as long as I stay under this um what's it called, blood alcohol level.
Blood alcohol level. Yeah.
Yeah. So as long as I stay under whatever it was, I'm fine. And all of those things like worked a couple of times, and then they didn't, and then I was just like, ugh, I don't know what to do. So it's sort of, I'm not sure my drinking escalated, but my anxiety about it escalated, and my will to do something about it increased. So there was sort of a breaking point somewhere where I was like, I remember I was going to my friend's, he was getting married, and he had a bunch of his friends set up a bachelor party at somewhere they were gonna fly to Ibiza or something like that. And I was like, okay, I know I don't want to do this because I know how I'm gonna feel. I know what I'm gonna do when I get there, and I know how I'm gonna feel about it, and I know how shitty I'm gonna feel, and the amount of anxiety I'm gonna have. So I don't want to do it, but I don't know how to say no. I don't know how to not do it. So that's when I basically just uh, I wrote to them. I remember I wrote to them on Facebook, in this Facebook group, and I just said, I made an excuse that I think I said I had an ear infection or something. The trip was already paid for, but I managed to get out of that. I'm mixing it up because the thing I was thinking about was the time when I was supposed to arrange like a trip with my friends, and then I sort of set everything up. I made a Facebook group. I did planning, and then everybody was just waiting for, okay, so when is the go time? And then I was like, okay, I can't do this. So I messaged them on Facebook and I said like, guys, this alcohol thing isn't working for me. It's making me feel too bad. I can't do this. I'm sorry. I think I have a problem or something like that. I wish I had saved that message or text because I know that was sort of like some sort of a shift for me when I actually told somebody I think this is a problem for me.
Yeah.
So but that in itself didn't actually allow me to stop. It was a lot of back and forths after that. What I would say was like the shifting moment for me was when I was on a trip with my family, and I just it was like this all inclusive hotel and free drinks and everything. And one day at my 35th birthday, I was like, I wasn't very like hungover or anything. I was just like, I need to find like another way to do this because what I've been trying obviously hasn't worked. So I started Googling, I started like looking for alternatives. So I started finding like all these books that people have written, like the quit lit books. I didn't know that was a thing before.
Right.
And I started reading, and I read like Catherine Gray's Unexpected Joy of Being Sober. And that opened up something for me. It opened up the curiosity that there could be something else. The question in my head, like, what am I missing?
Yep.
Actually, what am I missing by drinking, and not what am I missing if I don't drink? So yeah,
Mm.
and then I think I followed the Quitlet trail, and one day I found this Naked Mind book, and that was also like a shift because that resonated a lot for me. So I think that was back in 2019 or something like that, maybe 2020, early. And then it was a long time of on and off. It was like what we call the data points
Yep.
in the coaching. I had like when I took alcohol away, I thought that I thought that life would be amazing after a while because that's what all the books said.
Yeah.
So and I didn't feel that. I just felt shittier. So that was my experience with it, and then the whole journey started of trying to find out why am I feeling like this now. Uh, I jumped between three different things, like trying to find out what was wrong with my life, and I jumped between is it my job, is it my marriage, or is it that I should be drinking, basically. What should I do something like in either of these areas? And one week it was the job, and one week it was the relationship, and one week it was uh, to go back to drinking.
Mm-hmm.
And and I'm I'm trying to think about what actually happened after that, but I sort of like I I, I went into you might call it a depression or something. Like I quit my job. I uh, I had like a thing explode with my marriage because they're married, but it was uh, sort of a thing happened there,
Yeah.
and I went into like a depression and didn't have a job. I didn't know really what to do and no direction, and then I found this coaching certification, this Naked Mind, and that got me really interested in well, I was interested before in like um, uh, working on myself, so to speak, like personal development, spirituality came into my life, like couple of years before that. So that interest started growing more and more. And I was just trying to find a way of how could I live that interest, because I was working as a programmer or a consultant. I had my own company, and didn't feel at all like in line with how I felt inside. So I was looking for like how can I do the work, uh, and at the same time like work on myself.
Right. How can I do the work as my work?
Yeah, exactly. And then just the coaching thing just came to me uh, in my inbox somehow, and I immediately felt that this. I'm not gonna say that that's the thing that like I don't really believe in that you have to change something like that to feel good. Uh, but at the same time, I know that's what got me into the path of learning how I can uh, make myself feel better, like the
Yeah.
tools and the knowledge of everything like that. So I could have found that out otherwise as well, I guess, without changing everything. But I'm very happy that I did, regardless. Um,
And that's there's a lot to work with there. And I think your story is, it's unique to yourself, but it's one that a lot of people can connect with. And one thing that you mentioned that is something that I find like in my own story, so many other stories, when you stop drinking and everything's supposed to get better, but it doesn't. So you start to look at everything in your life that is carrying through. That has to be the problem, or it has to be the fact that I stopped drinking, or it has to be, the external, the job, the marriage, or it's because I stopped drinking. And we leave out what the real is because we don't want to look at it, which is ourselves.
yeah, we don't want to look at it, or we don't know how to look at it.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. That's a even better way of looking at it is we don't see that that is an option. And
Mm.
it turns out that that is the option. That is the truth. What is the thing that's going through in my job? What's the thing that's going through in my relationships? What's the thing that's carrying through all of these? Oh shit, it's me. Damn it.
Yeah. Common denominator.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Uh, when you started working on yourself, what was the moment, if there was one, where you just got this aha of I actually found what I've been looking for?
I think it was when I started reading Byron Katie's stuff.
Okay.
Um, um, the book, what's it called? I have it here somewhere. Loving What Is. Um, I don't know if you've read it,
No,
or are you familiar with Byron Katie?
I am familiar with Byron Katie, but I haven't read any of her stuff. I've seen like some social media and
Mm.
like the way that she looks at the world is awesome. It's amazing. But for those who don't know, could you, give a little bit about Byron Katie?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And she had like a very interesting life. I think she led like a very successful, so to speak, like in air quotes, life where I don't remember exactly what she did, but she was successful and in real estate or something, and she made money, and she had a family and kids and a husband and everything. But she just noticed that she was getting more and more and more depressed as the more money she made, the more like the more successful she got, basically, the more depressed she got. And she just, it got so bad that in the end, she couldn't leave she worked from her bedroom, and she couldn't leave her bed or her bedroom. She was just working from there because everything else was just crappy and shitty. And she was screaming at the kids and the husband, and uh, real, like a real big case of depression, you might say. Um, and then I think that she just one day woke up on the floor, not knowing what happened. Uh, this is her story. And in that, it was sort of like an awakening. I guess it was an awakening for her, uh, and she realized then and there that uh, the only one who can change how I feel is me, and the only one who's making me depressed is me. It's my thoughts. It's the thoughts I have about everybody else. Um, and from that, she sort of developed this method of working on your thoughts. That's called the work. Uh, and it's a structured way of looking at your thoughts about the world, about others, and how you can turn those around and start questioning yourself instead. So, so she
Yeah.
started the whole turnaround thing.
And that is it, the change of perspective that you gain. Something like in my 20s that I always said was I was not going to become that jaded adult that you see. I wasn't going to be that bitter person, and I wasn't to everybody else, but I was to myself.
Yeah,
And when I realized that, that was a powerful moment. Like, I said I wasn't going to be this, and now that I am, why am I that? Because I let it happen. That was
yeah,
that was the truth. That was it. To make it simple doesn't mean that it's easy, but to simplify, okay, I allowed it. Now what?
yeah. Allowed it through ignorance
Yeah.
of like not self-inflicted, but like generally we are ignorant to our thoughts and how our psyche works. It's not something you learn in school. I actually wrote like a newsletter today about the fact that why isn't it that you learn um, why is it that you learn physical health and you learn maths and physics and English or whatever in school, but you don't learn how to take care of your own mind? And that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Why don't we have something about that?
It it goes to emotions too. Like they teach us about happy and mad and sad, but that's it. That's all you really learn about emotions. And and it's like it goes along with you know, the mental health, the brain, how all of this interacts. And
Yep.
just what are we doing?
Yeah. Well, I don't know that yet, but
Well, yeah, right. But it is one of those things that they teach you. We call it home economics here, right? Where taking care of the household, the laundry, the cooking, things like that, which is great. It's great to know those things. But why are we not, like you said, having an understanding of taking care of yourself
yeah,
along with that?
yeah. And we sort of have that. We have like you should take care of your physical body. You should eat right.
Right.
You should exercise right. But we don't have we don't still don't recognize in at least in our Western culture that the mind and body is connected and it's really not two different things at all. But we still tend to like view them as that.
Absolutely. It's the chicken and the egg, right? It's it's that age old question about which comes first, but why does it matter? One being out of line affects the other and vice versa. And so when you take care of both and you understand the symbiosis there, it leads to the inspiration and the motivation instead of feeling like that void that there's something different. You feel that change that is necessary, that change that is needed.
Yeah, and I think we have a lot to learn there from Eastern
Yes,
culture and more spiritual cultures and ways of looking at things. India, for example, or China even, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've really, that's something that I've, since Brene Brown's Atlas of the Heart, since I read that, and that's been so massive. I talk about it all the time. People are probably sick of hearing me talk about it, but listen, read it and then tell me that you don't talk about it all the time.
I haven't
But
read
when
it actually, so it's on my to read list.
it
It's been
it
for a
is
while.
legitimately like the dictionary for emotions. It's incredible. And at the end of it, she talks about the Buddhist principle of near enemies, which is basically the idea that you have total opposites, right? The opposite of love is hate, but you also have near enemies of love, things that look like they would be love, but they really erode and work against that love. And the near enemy of love is control. You
Mm,
try to control because you want to make that person happy. But when you control, you create trust issues. You don't let that person be that person. You try to, and how much that erodes that one thing. And it was just like, whoa, this is incredible. And I started looking into these Buddhist principles, these, the Hindu yoga, a lot of these ideas that, and that, the Taoist, the middle way, things like that,
mm.
how they reflect so much that we understand. And now you have science confirming, oh, these actually make sense scientifically.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah.
like, what have we been doing?
Yeah, yeah. No, that's true. They like things they've been saying for a long time about how the universe works and energy and everything like that. It's just like even before we had technology to view the atoms and particles, and there were thousands of years ago uh, Indian philosophers and scientists and so forth that already said like this is the way it works. And it's good that we can like that's I think that's a really exciting area where um religion or spirituality, it maybe is a better word for it, meets science, um where they
Yeah.
can like, as you said, like confirm the things that these guys have been saying. And it's good because
It,
it opens it up.
yes. And that's what I was going to say. Like it opens people's minds who have otherwise been closed off. This guy, and for those listening, I'm pointing at myself being one of them with some of it, because if it's hard to grasp. That's also a reason why I love Brene Brown too, is her ability to take these concepts that are really complex and to simplify them in a manner that can be digested by a simple person like myself. It really helps to, um, move through, uh, that closed door that's in your mind to be like, oh, this could be a possibility. Maybe it is.
Yeah, yeah. And when you open that door, that everything's possible, it's difficult to close it
Yes, it is. It
because
absolutely is.
you become very curious and accepting to um it's a really like a good thing um if you don't go too much into it, like in being too naive. I mean, you have to also like balance it with a bit of common sense. And yeah.
Yeah, I've really been talking with one of my good friends about discernment, right? And that's kind of what it means when you break it down. It's just being able to see the possibilities, see the optimism, but then being realistic about what you can actually do and what you can see, like the outcome that could actually happen with you controlling what you can control. So, you know, not falling into just that optimistic, hopeful naivete, but also being able to understand what you can control and then allowing that to it, whatever happens around it,
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
sort of.
Sort of.
I think so. Like, but so like just if we go back to your question there about what was the thing that started this shift for me. I'd say like as I said, like Byron Katie's the work s- s- got me opened my eyes to the fact that I have the possibility or I have the control to affect my own thinking and thereby affect my own well-being, mental well-being.
Mhm.
And I think that when you get that experience or realization, something in you shifts and something happens and you become a more open person when you realize that wait a minute, I do have control over how I feel. It's everything comes down to how I interpret the world and how I interpret events, and it's not them. She has this thing where she says like it's either your business when something is wrong or whatever. It's like it's either your business, it's somebody else's business, or it's God's business, I think she says, like, and your business is the only thing that you can control. So like you have to um decide or see that is this my business or is this somebody else's business, right? Um so anyway, but yeah, so that was when sort of the penny dropped. Um and I don't know really know when that was, but maybe 2 years ago or something.
Yeah. And I think just finding that moment, right? When you found something that resonated with you, it opened up, oh, there's a fourth option and it's me.
Mm,
Okay. This is what I'm searching for. Like that is something that um that's a key moment that I think we can tend to overlook in our journeys. And it's something that, there's a catalyst for it to happen, which is life changes. There's like, yeah, really severe, the rock bottom, whatever it is, just these life changes that are happening that are forcing it. And sometimes you hear something at the right time. You hear something that is framed in a way that it gets through. And those moments they're really special when you can kind of point somebody and, hey, what if you tried reading this person or tried listening to this way or things like that, and it could open their mind just a little bit more, and just cracking that door open is enough.
yeah, definitely. It's spot on. I think like it's a combination of like timing and luck, and that's why it's so important to just be open to stuff, whatever comes your way, and just see like does that resonate with me or not, or and why like you can have you can be on an email list for 5 years until suddenly you get an email that like, oh yeah, that hits me right now this time when I'm having this life experience that resonates with me, and you can just take that and go with that. And it's like and the funny thing is like before this realization I had read a bunch of stuff about that when I look back that talk about this, but it's not until you put it in practice in your own life that you can actually understand it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the most frequent way that you hear this put is, you choose your happiness. You get to choose if you're going to be happy or not. And that used to piss me off.
Oh yeah.
It used to just like, and it still does when I hear that, because that's not what you mean. And what you're saying is making people more depressed. What you're saying is, you choose your level of negativity. You choose to your perception, right? You choose your mindset. You get to choose if you are going to be jaded and bitter about things, or you get to choose if you're going to open your mind to a different possibility. You get to choose if you're going to listen to that critic that is a really harsh asshole, and it's not actually you, it's a bunch of different events and people that are your fears talking. Are you going to listen to that? Or are you going to say, I don't have to talk to myself this way. I can get to neutral. And neutral doesn't mean you don't feel, which is what I used to think. Neutral was not feeling anything. Neutral is actually being a coach to yourself, is actually talking to yourself in a way of, okay, you're bringing a problem. What can I do to solve that? What kind of steps can I take? Like, that is choosing your happiness, but it's saying it in a way that doesn't keep people stuck in the depression and like, well, if I can choose my happiness, why do I continue to choose this? Like, and it just, that can really keep people like dragged down. So um I don't know. I just felt called to go on a rant about that. Like, I just felt
Yeah,
this inner, like, I'm still pissed off about that because it's, even when I hear it, I get mad about it, even though I understand what they're saying. But it's
yeah.
just being, understanding that words have weight.
Mm.
And even though we're trying to frame things positively, it's not the way to actually frame it, because it's not the truth that when you get down to it, right?
No. Yeah, and maybe if we'd had this as a subject in school, then you could say, well, you've learned this, you know, but the problem is that
Yeah.
most people don't know how. Like they don't know the techniques and they don't know so it's just like saying it like that, it's not, as you say, it's not very helpful. Um
Yeah. And I think
and I
it's,
think yeah,
I was gonna say the happiness, the way that we've been taught what happiness means and what it is.
yeah,
I think that's a part of it too, because that's not actually what we mean when we
yeah.
say, I want to be happy, right? Like for me, what I've come to understand it, and this is where it's really important for people to define words for yourself. Happy for me is being peaceful, being content, right? Not being too bothered by my environment. That to me is what happiness actually is. And it's not just feeling joy at a consistent level for a very long period of time. That's not,
It's,
to me, that's not what happiness is.
that's euphoria
Yes,
or something like
exactly.
that.
See, exactly. Like it's the power of the definition in the words we
Yeah.
use. It makes a massive difference.
I totally agree, and I with what you said about like happiness equals stillness. I've been that's what I'm feeling more and more like. That's basically what I want all the time. It's just more peace, more stillness. Like,
Yeah.
and I don't know if that's happiness or not. Like, but one thing that we also get confused is that we believe in our society we believe that you're supposed to feel happy or positive uh, most of the time, and it's so unbalanced that you have an expectation on yourself to feel good a lot of the
Hmm.
times. And of course, you maybe we have a fault in that as well when we say that you can affect your thinking and you have control over how you feel. But as you said, like doesn't mean that you're trying to you have to make yourself happy all the time. It just means that you take like don't like take away the negativity at least. But we have to remember that like if we look at our pride, like we talked about emotions, if we look at our like primal emotions, like 66-70% of them are not positive.
Yeah.
They're negative. So we're biased to negative emotions. That's how we're made basically. So don't expect to feel happy 80% of the time when you're like not made to feel happy more than 20-30% of the time, maybe maximum.
Oh, and that is that's a nugget to sit in for a little bit, because I haven't heard it framed that way. Um,
Mm.
and so when you think about it that way, it's like, wow, I have been going through life the way that I should.
Yeah.
Right?
Except that you maybe add a bunch of extra judgment about
Oh,
how you were feeling.
oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh yes. You know, and that's a lot to work through, but that's why, coaches, and you've seen this, I don't want to really say surge, but you've really seen, I would say, a lot of talk, especially in like the media about coaching and the benefits of it. Um, and what you see is all everyone who's a high performer has a coach. And so why wouldn't we have a coach as well? We just think that we grow out of coaching. And the truth is, you just call them different names and it's just starting to come back. So, what have you found with like the power of coaching in your own journey? And then as you've had people come to you for coaching?
I think it's having someone else help you get perspective and questioning your thoughts and getting out of your head and what we call blind spots. Like it's very difficult to see your own way of erroneous thinking. So when you actually, and oftentimes when you just say it or explain something to somebody, it helps you view it in a different way. So to have somebody to listen to you and that asks you thought-provoking questions, it's a way of just like it's a way of doing push-ups, mental push-ups, and improving uh, your skill in that way. So I think that's I sort of like in that way you could compare a coach to a personal trainer or something, but a mental one.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, essentially, what is a personal trainer? A coach, right? And
Yeah. And there's also, and in that analogy, there's also another important similarity, and it is that, yeah, coaching is really good for uh, viewing your blind spots and questioning your thoughts and so forth. But there's also like as well as with a personal trainer, the personal trainer can't do the weight lifting for you. So you have to also recognize that with coaching that it's not just talking to somebody, it's also like working on yourself actively, uh, by doing the work, by journaling, by actually taking the time to sit down and write down your thoughts and work on your thoughts. And it's hard work. It's like lifting weights, but that's the only way you can get fitter.
and the way that you frame that too, have you ever broken a sweat by trying to think about or think through some of your emotions or like your past and stuff like that? And the reason I ask is because I have. So I just want to know if I'm the only one.
Probably. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I'm
like,
not sure.
I had, it was a little bit over a year ago, and I just had these recurring thoughts, and it was right when I started journaling, and I was trying to work through them, and I just had so much there, and I was thinking so hard that I noticed that I was actually sweating from trying to work through this stuff. And it wasn't, it's fall, it's not hot outside, but I'm actually like working myself into a sweat trying to make sense of this stuff. And it's like sometimes, and it wasn't like a nervous, like an anxiety kind of a sweat. It was just like I was exerting myself.
Like real mental push-ups.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, and saying it makes me feel like, was I sick and I should have gotten some like help or something like that? But I really was thinking so hard that, um, it wasn't like an actual like sweat that was like dripping. It was just, a little bit of perspiration was there. And I was like, that's interesting.
Yeah. Well, it's hard work. It's not going to be
Oh,
done for you.
yeah. And it is. You are going to look at things that you hid away and you never wanted to see and admit truths to yourself about yourself that you've spent a lifetime denying. And guess what?
Mm.
It turns out that that's where your power lies.
Yeah. Yeah. So true.
As as you're, you know, working with various people through, coaching them to alcohol freedom, but really like changing their perception and their mindset, what is something that you've noticed as a tool that really gets people's minds opening and really piques their curiosity?
Well, I've noticed that is when I started talking about automatic negative thoughts and sort of the categories of thinking that error thinking that we all do, and then you can show them that, oh, that thought is actually it's one of these categories. It's fortune telling, or it's mind reading, or it's catastrophic thinking, or it's just like this is something that there's a name for it, and everybody does it, more or less. Um, and so when you start getting into that uh, normalization and showing them that what you're doing, what you're experiencing is very normal, and there is a name for it, and there is a way um, to feel better, just starting by recognizing it. And so I think like talking about automatic negative thoughts or ants is for a lot of people eye opening in my experience.
Yeah, that is a really great one where, I think the combination of recognizing what those actually are, and then also the fact that it's very human and everybody does it. That's not just like a platitude of everybody, but it is legitimately like it's a human thing and everybody does it.
Yeah, yeah,
And so that makes sense. Like the more you humanize processes, the more you humanize your thoughts, the easier it is to look at yourself and say, oh, well, that makes sense why I would do that then. Okay. Like,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And and I think that's also, yeah, and I think that's also one of the reasons that doing like having a community and doing like group things, sharing or group coaching or something like that is so powerful, because you get to see firsthand how others are thinking your exact thoughts, or not, maybe not exact, but similar thoughts that you have or have had before. Um, and you just see from time and again, like, wait, okay, I'm not alone in this. I'm not alone in this. Okay, because that's, I believe that's like one of the mind, the tricks that the mind is trying to play on us, is to make us think that we're the only ones, tries to individualize everything, and everything is about me, me. Nobody else is thinking like this. That's
Yeah.
something I hear a lot. That's just like, it's why is it just me? Am I just thinking like this? And then when you get to see that, no, it's not just you, it's basically everybody else. And some people might have it a bit more than others. Yeah, sure. But it's still human qualities.
It really is. And you literally just described my first 34 years on this planet, 35 years on this planet. I'm alone. Nobody thinks this way like I do. There's,
Yeah.
I'm just a big pile of crap. And it's like, oh, wait, I'm not the only one who thinks that. Oh, well, damn. I guess I'm not special. Darn it.
Yeah. Well, the ego gets a bit of
Oh,
what do you
goodness.
say? Yeah, it gets a bit of a hit there when it's
Yeah.
because that's what also what's feeding these thoughts, is that uh, this individualization, that we're separate from everybody else, and well, then maybe not. Let's not get into that, because it will take too much time to talk
That's what I
about.
was going to
But
say. That sounds like a whole nother podcast that we could
yeah,
get into.
exactly.
And
Yeah, yeah,
that's man, and that's another thing we could, like you're talking about the ego death. Ugh, like when you start this journey, just know that you're going to go through at least an ego completely redesign, but it's actually going to be an ego death, and it's very difficult. Mm. Mm.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about it again, and I'm like, ugh, it's it's something that I'm glad, right? I'm glad that I worked through. I'm glad that I went through, but it's also something that I'm like, don't do it alone. Don't do it alone. I did it
Yeah.
alone. Don't do
Yeah.
it alone. That's not the way to do it.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I did it alone too. For a long time at least.
Yeah, yeah, and that's seeking out that community and finding that connection and just realizing how human we all are is that's some really powerful stuff.
Yeah, and it can be like it doesn't have to be a community where like everybody's gathering once a week and on Facebook or on a Zoom or whatever. It could be just like optimally, yeah, two-way communication is good. And I think that's a real like benefit. But it can also be just listening to other people talking on like on podcasts and on I think that's the way I did it. So
Same.
that's a community in itself. Um, so
Yeah.
it's easy to get started. You don't have to like we look like go out of your way to try to find um, a group or something. That might come in the future as well. But
Yeah, and you mentioned that the way that you did it at the start too, reading like books.
yeah,
That's another way that you can find it, and I've heard so many people talk about your mentors are also people that you read and stuff like that, so that absolutely is a wonderful tip, like podcasts, books, uh even documentaries, things like that that can give you some understanding into not just yourself but to the human experience, can give you some grace for yourself.
yeah, and finding what works for you as well. Like
Mm,
everybody is not into reading books, but maybe you find it easier to watch YouTube or as you we talked about earlier, like listening to things when you work out or go for a walk or something like that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and that can open yourself up to hearing things from a different perspective too when you're listening to things while you're doing something else. um Marcus, this conversation has been absolutely wonderful. If people wanted to keep up
Yeah.
with you, where is the best place to do that?
I think the best way to keep up with me would be my Instagram. That's my name there is Marcus with a C dot coaching Sweden. Um, it's a bit of a weird name, but I guess you can just search Coaching Sweden on Instagram.
Yeah,
Otherwise, my
and
website works as well, but it's in Swedish, unfortunately. And everything that I post is also in Swedish. But I do have uh, American clients and English-speaking clients, international clients. So totally fine with that. But I don't have any material in I don't do material in English.
and
So
that's okay because Google has that translate feature that is very handy. Because there's
yeah,
somebody from my this naked mind certification class who's uh, in Greece. She's Greek, and so everything she does is in Greek. So I just put it through Google Translate so I can keep up with what she's doing and hanging out and everything. So that is an option.
yeah.
Same thing. Yeah, it's pretty cool when you use technology that way, right? When it works.
Yeah, I mean, and this too, like being able to talk to people, like you said in the beginning, in all places of the world, is amazing. Where I can
Yeah,
sit here in Sweden, I can coach somebody in Venezuela or Russia or whatever.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And that we get to sit here and have this conversation now, that in real time, not
Yeah,
just having a delay or anything. It's just like you're sitting, right across from me.
yeah, that is
It
actually
is really
mind
neat.
blowing.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
I
So,
haven't even, you don't even think about it. It's like
yeah,
just works. There is no
right.
delay.
And it wasn't too long ago where there was a delay, and this is not as much fun, but they've really, we've come a long way.
Yeah,
It's nice.
amazing, amazing.
So thank you so much for being with us, Marcus. Again, you can find him at Coaching Sweden. And this has been a lot of fun. So it's the Untapped Podcast, different perspectives of sobriety and mental health. Let's try to be better tomorrow than we were today, because if we don't make it, we tried. I love you. Have a great week, everybody.